Hello, Internet, and this is Open Source Live March edition. This is kind of the first video I'm doing where I do kind of monthly reviews of what I've been up to and how my life is going, and kind of mainly work projects I'm working on. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll first establish some structure and kind of my thinking, kind of context behind the Open Source Live, and then we'll go into just review of March, some learnings, some mistakes I'm trying to avoid to make, and yeah, kind of the whole what is the goal with the in general open source life project, and then kind of what is April looking like and what I want to do, and hopefully which mistakes I'm willing not to make. Right. So open source life is basically I previously worked as a self education year, and I did whole year. Kind of one big block, one big projects, and then I would kind of release, every few months something. And with open source life, I'm trying to keep it a bit different because I found that very long life plans don't seem to work that well when you have so much uncertainty. And so what I'm doing now is more I do monthly reviews, and because projects sometimes change so quickly, I don't do it kind of project-based review or like public sharing, but more of a monthly review. Um, yeah, and so kind of I see three parts to it that I could share with you. Is I think at least my focuses in life are good work, good relationships, and good health. And I think while I'm quite new to open and internet sharing, and I think I'll keep for now kind of my relationship concerns or my health concerns to myself, but I'll try to focus more on work, and I think that's where I can provide most interest to others. Let's say at the moment. And so how I think about it, again, the main problem I think everyone faces in their life, and especially when you're young, is finding the job you love. And I thought for years about it. And just recapping the intro video about OSL, I think there are three parts to it. Is a problem you work on, so finding something inspiring, let's say getting a man on the moon or Mars, right? And then kind of finding the craft that fits you, that you enjoy, and that is actually useful to solve the problem on, and then mastering it. And then lastly, team and place. I kind of define it as both the organization you join. So let's say you want to put a man on the Mars, you you learn engineering, and then you join SpaceX because they are the leading organization, and then you move to US and wherever SpaceX is located. So team is both organization and country you're living in. And while I have some clarity on, let's say, the problem I want to work on, and thus on the team and place I want to work on, I do not have clarity on the craft I want to master, and I have a few guesses, and that is kind of the main, I guess, goal with the open source life is to document and help myself stay accountable to what is my end goal and how am I tackling the big problem of craft to master. So, kind of how do I think about it? Where do I want to go? Maybe in the next year or next 1.5 years, as long as it takes. Well, I gained clarity that I want to work on making dev optional. I made a separate video talking about more in detail, and I won't recap it here. But if you want to make dev optional, dev and aging, or just make people live longer and healthier, well, it's kind of a few things become clear. Let's say the team in place should just be leading organization in longevity, and place for, besides other reasons, I think US is probably something related to Bay Area is the place I should be. And so yeah, and so kind of that brings me to Swiss Watch Plan, as I call it, fucking Swiss Watch Plan. Yeah, so basically, I need. The problem is I did a business bachelor and then I learned some coding, and so I know practically of no biology. And so yeah, if you want to help people to make dev optional and help people live longer and healthier and meaningfully contribute to it, you probably want to get a really good grasp of biology. And so I'll do it as I did it before. I'll go through textbooks or go through online courses and just learn it on my own and understand it really well. And that's kind of the main one of the main problems. Then I'd say the main problem. Well, to be honest, you can't take any of those problems really without accomplishing, let's say, my goal of getting in the next 12 months or in the next 24 months to join a leading organization in longevity industry while doing the craft that I enjoy and like, and that fits me and meaningfully contribute to solving problems of longevity, right? So find the craft that fits me. I'd say it's one of the biggest bottlenecks. And I have a few guesses, let's say like coding and AI. And for the next few months, I'm going to try to test them out and see how they go and yeah, whether they fit me, because I do know that I like coding, but AI is a slightly different game. I was making websites. Yeah, but let's not go into details for now. But these are kind of the main three goals I'm trying to develop in the next 12 to 24 months, with the end goal being of joining leading organization in US and move in longevity industry, and maybe not SF, but maybe Bay Area, right? And so Silicon Valley, right? Um, and kind of these are the three main problems I'm tackling, and I'm just documenting how I go about it. And so, of course, those can change, and my thinking can change. That's why we do monthly reviews instead of, here is the plan for next 2 years, right? Um, yeah, and so so where I'm at currently, but basically right now I'm in Netherlands and I'm in my last semester of a business bachelor. I'm from Ukraine and I grew up in Russia, so I do not have an EU availability, right? So after you finish a bachelor, you can stay one more year, which is called orientation visa. And then I need to see how it will go. But this living in NL and making sure that I stay here is, of course, an important priority. And then uh, my leading craft, yes, is coding and AI, and I have no knowledge of biology, right? So kind of the main bottlenecks then I see is I need to finish bachelor, I need to learn biology, I need to test, and finishing the bachelor will allow me to stay in Netherlands for one more year, right? And once the year passes by, again, that will be another problem to be solved. And tasks, and kind of in that time, once I finish my bachelor, I have to learn biology and I have to test the guess for my craft of coding and AI. And meanwhile, while doing this, I have to not go bankrupt. I have some side jobs where kind of keep me afloat. I try to minimize my expenditures. Luckily, when you don't choose an expensive rent and you just, live off healthy market food, you're kind of okay. And so I'd say those are kind of the main bottlenecks and the main problems I'm thinking of. And so this is going quite quick, I must say. And maybe, of course, the structure of it will change and how I'll tell it will change. But this is kind of the first go I take at it. So, of course, all this structure and all this process will evolve, and I'm sure I'll become a bit more comfortable on camera and on sharing maybe some my concerns online. So like we basically go, okay, these are the main problems I have. This is where I am at right now. This is where I want to get in the next 12, 24 months. Um, and these are the main problems I have to solve to get there. Okay, now the question is, what am I doing to solve those problems to get to where I want? And right now we are kind of recapping the March, so what happened in March, and then we'll recap and we'll go into, what are key learnings. Let me, kind of keep the attention. Even though it's now not perfectly centered. So in March, let me go back. This is too painful. In March, a few things happened. So I gained clarity that I want to work on making dev optional. I gained clarity that, okay, I don't like the building websites is not something that can help to contribute to that problem. So I need to test something else. And I need to learn biology because I don't know any of it. No, so I kind of the leading thinking, my current thinking on what is the best way to learn some heavy subjects like biology, where I think it's a lot of theory. You can do like a lot of, let's say, coding. With coding, you probably just code. You try to avoid just reading textbooks, while with biology, you do want to read the textbook. So if my leading thinking was there that, oh no, you actually like kind of progressed from you do a bachelor in biology to, oh no, you don't have to do a bachelor. You can just take courses online from top universities like MIT, Harvard, and so on, and do it faster, cheaper. I mean, practically at no price, and gets similar understanding as those who go to those unis. So my current thinking right now is that, well, all those courses are actually based on textbooks, which have been heavily reviewed. They have heavy details, and if you want to dedicate your life to making that optional, and this is something I really see myself being able to do. This is my leading guess, and it is as strong of a guess as I've ever had. So I feel quite confident in it. You really need to understand it, especially if you want to really contribute meaningfully to it, and I do. And only textbooks provide those level of nitty-gritty details. Courses don't. And so textbooks is now my kind of king perception of how you learn those heavy topics. And so, I started one of the most popular books that is quite highly recommended is, of course, Campbell Biology. I'm moving quite slow because I'm trying to everything that is written there. I'm not kind of skipping everything. I might not learn, let's say, about animals because I'm focusing on understanding basics of biology and then science of aging, right? And so with basics of biology, Campbell biology, and like several chapters of it are, I think, perfect. I'll see how many and which ones, but yeah. So I moved quite slowly because I'm trying to understand everything to the level of detail where I can explain it to a 12-year-old. And it is hard. Not because 12-year-olds are not smart, but because it just requires a lot of studying to actually understand something so well. And yeah, and so I moved to, I think, page 30, which is like getting one chapter and maybe starting second chapter, where also you kind of start learning chemistry. And of course, biology and chemistry were the two subjects in school I absolutely did not like. I tried to skip them entirely in my chemistry subjects. I literally would watch, I think I watched like, I mean, a big chunk of South Park seasons. And I'm a big fan of South Park. But yeah, life has its own ways, and it's very funny, to think of like that. If you tell me as a school kid that I'm going to study biology and chemistry and I'm going to do it willingly, I'd be like, yeah, of course, yeah, sure. And now here we are. Yeah, and so I started reading it. It's an excellent book. What can I say? And then I also started learning CS50 AI, and again, just kind of getting started. I know reasonably well coding. I have the strong fundamentals and strong basis where I can explain things to 12-year-olds. But AI is a different thing I have not fully pursued. I was pursuing website building. So I'm just starting it out. And yeah, of course, I'm keeping up with the budget. That is going reasonably well. But so the main thing here is the meta science X longevity thesis. So what happens, of course, in the last semester, you have to write a thesis. Yeah, it's kind of, I did not want to write something soul-sucking, something that just passes the grade, something that is useless. I was much rather willing to take a more challenging problem that will actually be useful for people in the industry. And after talking to a few people inside, and we came to the conclusion that maybe meta science and longevity would be quite interesting and unexplored. And kind of to quickly say what the thesis would be about is looking at, okay, well, what are the trade-offs longevity scientists are willing to make when we give them grants? And of course, longevity scientists, it can be any scientist, but you have to narrow it down for just a bachelor thesis. And what priorities do they have? So sometimes, if you look at fast grants, they said that 78% of their respondents were highly likely to change what they're working on if they were given more freedom. And this kind of was a signal for me. Okay, maybe freedom is really important, and everyone says so, but we need to put a number in it. So here, that would be just a basic conjoint analysis where you give a few different grant options with different level of funding, different level of freedom, and then you see which one scientists choose, and then you can make a simple equation which says, holy shit, if you reply faster by 2 weeks, people are willing to give away 30,000 euros for that. And putting a number in it, I think, is really useful. So that is the general premise of the thesis, and kind of how it goes for me is, yeah, it was quite challenging, to be honest. I had to learn about meta science, and while I was interested in meta science and progress studies in general, this was not really a thing I wanted to do. Like, right away diving deep, I was like, I'm focusing on longevity. But yeah, so I took a big chunk. I take a very big piece in my mouth of food, and then I tried, not to choke on it and try to swallow it, and it's very challenging. And yeah, previously I really thought of it like kind of while I was going in, I was like, oh my god, why did I shoot myself in the foot again? This thesis is quite real. It's hard. And I might as well just done something soul-sucking that will take 10 days and that will give me the passing grade, and I'd rather focus on biology and AI instead. But I decided not to. And yeah, while I was doing it and I was kind of learning about meta sciences, it was quite challenging. But I realized, I'm like, oh wait, this is exactly what I want to do with my life. I want to find challenging opportunities and challenging problems that I believe are interesting, enjoyable, and useful to others, and try to solve them. And both meta science and longevity are things that I will need for my till the end of my life, I assume. So this is not something, me learning about I don't know, the gender of butterflies, that just for this thesis and so on, that will never be useful. So it's an okay investment. Yeah, and this is, to be honest, I'm quite challenged right now. I'm at the verge of like, I'm not sure I can do it, but maybe I can if I really keep it up. together and really do what are kind of my best to my best ability. And yeah, and so kind of this is perfect, I think, transition into like, okay, what are the key learnings? And so this month, I'd say there were kind of a few. I'm again just reminding myself on is like with the thesis, because it's so hard. You really need to push yourself to just do the things that get you further. And like I again realize how Vinod Koshla is correct at saying you only need to work on key risks. And I think of the key risk as just the same word for bottlenecks. You really have to identify them, and you really have to fucking nail them down, really work on them, and only then you can, you go through the thing, and it's okay. And this kind of hardcore prioritization technique was really useful because it also kind of provided me a kind of a project management thinking of like, okay, I have I'm here, I have some goal I want to get there, and I can divide it into tasks. But what happens next? Do I do a plan? What do I do? No, you identify what are the key risks that prevent you from getting there. So let's say I want to get to leading longevity company in US in the role that I think is enjoyable for me and useful for others. Now, what are the key risks, the key bottlenecks? Well, one, I fail my bachelor and then I have to go back to Ukraine. And I mean, how does that look like? Or I have to find a way to stay in Netherlands, or I go out of money and I have to find a job which then takes all of my time and I can't pursue either of those options. Or again, I have no knowledge of biology, I can't contribute meaningfully. Or lastly, I don't have a craft and I don't have a good guess of a craft. And I wasn't rigid enough in saying, okay, this is a guess I'm making. What is the fastest way to test it? And how can we kind of iterate further? And yeah, this was extremely helpful. And like, I think this is what you do. Yeah, and I think I'll continue. This is one of the most impactful ideas, honestly, so far. And what happened, the other few, it's a long story, and I think it's kind of appropriate for these kind of maybe reviews, at least for now. But I had a call with David Dodge. It just so happened it's absolutely a multiverse type of situation. Like if you told me a week like before I had, or like a few days before I had a meeting with him of like, yeah, you're going to have a call, like 1 hour call with David. I'm like, yeah, this is ridiculous. Why would I have it now? I'm focused on entirely different things. And then it happened. And kind of, he was very sharp. He was, I think, very fast, very strong. It's also kind of, if you play, you don't want to play Bobby Fischer in chess. You want to play him anything but chess. And, I'm having this conversation and questions to David, specifically on the things he's probably the best at and spent, decades working on. And so, of course, he's fast, and just reiterating how important playing the games where you're good at and competitive advantages. But there, I just realized, well, there's no better kind of strategy than just to ask a genuine questions, right? And then I think with those people who have done so much content, who've just talked through, you don't want to ask questions that they have replied before. So you want to ask genuine, well-researched questions, or kind of genuine, not answered questions before. And this is the best way to, gain value for yourself and provide an interesting interaction to the person you're talking to. And just while I was talking to him, I realized how listening is important. It's actually, I was exhausted by the hour. And I rarely have exhaustive meetings where after the other I feel like I need to, relax or something. Because if you really try to fucking listen with all of your attention, it's actually extremely, it's hard, it's exhausting. It's just like a proper workabout, where you do and you just see it on code. This is very similar. And I just realized how important it is, and that's the best strategy when you interact with kind of people where you really have to keep your shit together to properly talk with people, to like have an interesting conversation that you want to have. And listening is the best kind of tactic for it. And I just realized how, again, listening is extremely important, and that I should probably develop it further. And I'm not, sometimes I would zone out and I'd be like, no, let's listen. And like not interrupting and so on. And fourth, when out of your depth, reach out. With MetaScience, I was extremely, in many sense, out of my depth. I reached out to a few top MetaScience researchers, and it's crazy how you go literally in 1 week, you don't know what NSF is, and you learn shit ton of things in that week, and then you can have a chat with literally leading researcher in the world about MetaScience. I love internet. This is a quite crazy feature of internet. But you want to really make sure that you are not wasting. You have a few opportunities to reach out. Most people, when you reach out to them and you properly write The email will at least reply to one email, and sometimes will at least take a 30-minute call. And you want to use those opportunities really well, and you want to really ask them only questions, or specifically, you want them to yeah, answer questions or address key risks of the project you're working on that you can't solve, right? So many projects with many problems with thesis are just effort problems, like finding some papers or reading some papers, right? And I don't want to ask, top researcher like, oh, can you retell me that paper? No, 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 I can read it. But maybe asking him, can you give me a pointer to like an array of papers that is really good and will save me a bunch of time? That's really good. Or can you give me a pointer to how to do methodology that is sound, that will actually be generalizable and useful for others? Those things, it's not really a question of effort. They can answer that key risk you have, and that also increases your confidence because you actually have solved one of the main problems you're worried about, and so everything becomes easier. It's kind of a positive reinforcing loop, and they're willing to provide those questions because they know you're not wasting their time, because it's not that you can solve that problem by just doing one Google search, right? And yeah, when out of your depth, reach out, and you sometimes can have a 30-minute call, an hour call, where it literally saves you 50 to 100 hours of work. And I do count my working hours, and it's like, that's a lot. That's like a week to 2 weeks amount of work, and they can save it to you. Yeah, I think that's kind of a main March review. I think one thing can be done. Oh yeah, because I'm sharing just yeah, I haven't thought about it because I'm sharing just Figma app. You cannot see me switching maybe to see my working hours. And yes, I'm running out of time. I have 24 minutes on Clipchamp to show. Let me just make a picture and insert it here. 1 second. Yeah. So just on my time, how it's been going. So basically 4 weeks, and I mean I'm doing 60-hour work weeks or close to them, which is entirely new level. If in the previous year I was doing like 40, 45, sometimes getting to 50 and being like, wow, I'm so productive. Right now 60 is the average, or like 58 is the new default. And in the last week I was quite challenged and I got to 72. It's a small step for man, giant leap for humanity kind of situation, as I joke with my friends. But it is entirely new breakthrough, entirely new level of operating, which I honestly haven't been before. And it's sustainable. It's not like I'm burning out myself. I enjoy my life. I do sport. I do relationships with a few close people that matter to me. And if you quite ruthlessly identify what you really want from life, and you just really optimize for that, then you can actually, get to 70-hour work weeks and still be happy and still be balanced in the way you want to. So definitely good working hours, and I try to keep it up next in April, and kind of definitely not fall below those numbers. Yeah, and kind of like thinking of, okay, from the past review of my kind of self-education year, I thought of what are kind of the main mistakes I was making again and again. And so talking about April, I just thinking of like, have I made any of those mistakes again? Have I made any of those mistakes again in March? Let me just check the time. 26 minutes. Okay, 4 minutes to go. So to be briefly in that, I don't think I have made a lot of those mistakes in the past. In the March, I have not a single movie, right? And it's not because I'm trying to, I don't know, suppress my desire to watch movies. One, because I don't want to, and two, because I haven't found something that I think is not like a binge watching or trying to numb away or escape away life, but is an embracing of it. And if I do find it, I'm absolutely down to watch it. I don't watch any YouTube, and the strong habit I had before of like going to sleep and watching something, absolutely absent. Long dinners, they stop to exist. Yeah, they're just quite fast dinners. I want to get to the point. I want to get back to work. I did not do any productivity porn, and I'm very proud of it. And I think it's also because you just push yourself. And yeah, I think I operate much better under pressure. And yeah, this is the only productivity porn type of situation I'm doing right now, and it's going to be only 1 month, and I think that's okay. Yeah, I don't think I spend a lot of time with misaligned people. I think, again, I took quite a big chunk, big thing to chew on with my thesis, and I just need to make sure it's good enough so it's shareable, and others actually think it's worthy of remark. Yeah, I'm trying to work on only bottlenecks and yeah, small projects. So how much time we have. Okay, 2.5 minutes. April, kind of the main. Yeah, next time I'll do probably a better time management. But the main focus is for April. I'm focusing on meta science and longevity. I need to finish my bachelor. It's going to be April till like mid-May, and I need to make it actually useful for the industry, actually worthy of remark, and that's what I'm focusing on. Learning biology, learning AI is not a priority. I need to keep it within the budget. And so the main kind of risks I see for meta science research is bad methodology that is not generalizable, not useful, and not enough responses. I'm working on those. And now I was thinking of kind of, what are KPIs that I can have. And so I think it has to be simple enough where it's not just productivity report and work about work, but it's actually useful. And I've noticed that even when I'm super pressured by those and I just want to get things done, it's actually still useful to have some things you track on. Let's say hours of work, I want to continue tracking them. And yeah, I'll keep on doing that. I think it's super useful. Yeah, listening days is just, since I realize how listening is important, I want to become better at it, and it's just one important thing for my relationships. I'm trying to every day kind of notice at least once when I really paid attention and really try to listen to kind of my max abilities. And if I do this once a day, because again, I don't interact a lot with people, I must just stay and do my research into meta science and longevity, then I just kind of noted it. And I try to have as many days where I just kind of keep up with my habit of really paying attention to people throughout this month. And then at the end of months, I can say, it's 20 days or something. Same goes for sport. It doesn't have to be going to the gym every day, but at least doing 100 push-ups or at least doing calisthenics. Thankful days is basically once a day, again, just remind yourself of something that you're really small pleasure or grateful for or thankful for. Just noted it. And yeah, really need to wrap up, 45 seconds. Repeated past mistakes. So basically, I think I haven't repeated a lot of mistakes, but I really need to make sure that I still work only on bottlenecks, especially when I'm pressured, and especially for meta science, my thesis, and no porn productivity, which I think is good enough, and I'm keeping up. And yeah, and this video is the only thing, and I quite like it because of the monthly reviews you can do. It's strategic enough. You still remember where you're going, what's the end goal, but you're not doing it bi-weekly where it's really work about work all the time. So I think it's the right balance. And yeah, 10 seconds. Thank you for watching the video, and I think I'll see you next month, and maybe something changes, but yeah, have a pleasureful April. Cheers.